I'm passionate about, and I bet they'll spark something in you too. So buckle up for quick, high-impact episodes that'll shake you up. The Steve Setka Show. We're in the Steve Setka Show studio right now. We got a very special guest, good friend of mine, Hanny Mehari. This guy's wonderful. Thanks so much for coming down to the studio. It's a pleasure having you. As always, Hanny, we frame the episodes on the Steve Setka Show around a Bible verse. Hebrews 25 is what we're framing today. Not giving up meeting together, as some are in the habit of doing, but encouraging one another, and all the more as you see the day approaching. We're here. We're in person. We're gathering. We're getting together. We're sussing, and you're going to tell us about that a little bit later on. So, Hanny, if I ask you this first question, who is Hanny Mehari?
Hanny Mehari is he's an entrepreneur, a student of life. I'm a founder of Hanny Mobile, which is a cell phone company. We buy and sell phones, we fix phones, and yeah, man.
That's incredible. I mean, I love the fact that you understand who you are well, that you can pull it out of your pocket, 15 seconds, and we know who you are. Some people give you a whole explanation. Oh, this is where I'm from. This is what I did. This is what whatever. Cut the shit. We just want the meat and potatoes. Yeah. Hanny Mobile is a new venture. It's 2 or 3 years old, and you're doing big things, right? You got this phrase you talk about. It's called "each one teach one." Correct. Yeah. So your vision is to give back to the community. How does that relate to your business acumen and what you believe the world needs to be like?
Well, I think that verse you just said, collaboration is key. Like, it's not about just being by yourself. It's about people, right? Because business is not just us. It's somebody else also involved. So for me, it's about like, how do I build that win-win situation in the marketplace where if we help enough people, we're going to get the outcome, which is the money a lot of time we're looking for. So the community works both ways, because if we help more people who are just getting started in business or who are just want to get the mindset shift, right, we can help inspire them to get into business. Then people will come back to buy your product at the end. So for me, that's kind of where I've realized my work in the community and my work with Hanny Mobile is like, because I also do wholesaling as well too. So we do a lot of business-to-business transactions. So it kind of works both ways. And I've just realized it's people, man, and it's human nature. That's what it comes down to. That's what business really is. And if you don't have people skilled, then it's tough to teach that.
The world is about people, really. Yeah. It's not about products. It's not necessarily about systems only. It is systems, but it's not necessarily about this house or this environment that we're in. It's about how do you interact with people on a day-to-day basis. I know a little bit about you. I know your backstory coming from Africa as a child, struggling through teenage years. You found basketball and you found entrepreneurship, and that's like taking you to a whole nother level of being a man that you want to be, like a man for God. For example, give us a little bit of a backstory of where you came from, how you developed yourself to where you are right now.
Yeah, my story started when I was young, man. I came here when I was about 10 years old. So my mom is from Eritrea. So I was born in Sudan. So my background is pretty much Eritrean. And so when we came here, pretty much, as an immigrant, you have no money. You started from $0. So now your family has to go make money. So, we had to work 3-4 jobs. So I came here when I was 10, and till about when I was 13, I started working jobs, because my mom was like, you need to help me. So a single parent mom, just me and my sister. So early on, I knew that I had to be the provider, because, as a young guy at that stage, I'm like, what do I got to do? I got to make sure my mom doesn't. So I've seen a lot of, especially the community that I grew up in, the environment that I was in, because, when you come here, you have no income. So I was in those government housing, where it's like, okay, they put you in this place where now you're with a lot of other people same people, they're just like you, but you realize people are in these bad environments, like where it's drugs or getting into gangs, right? So I've seen a lot of that stuff growing up on the north side of Winnipeg. It's very tough. It's not easy, right? So my way to escape that was helping my mom out, just being a provider early on and just being a hustler, right? So she taught me a lot about, hustling and making sure your word is good, right? So I learned a lot of things from my mom, and I took those principles and I applied them to this day. And it's been good. While I was young, I started playing basketball early on. So that also helped me out a lot as well to escape the bad route. And I've seen a lot of my friends go into gangs, like clubbing and all this stupid stuff. And some of them ended up getting died on the stage as well too. So it's not something that I wanted to get into. I just felt like, I had to help my mom out, because we got to get out of this matrix, early on. So that's what I did early on, and then man, it went on, and then I just became a learner while I was a kid. I actually got into entrepreneurship when I was about 16 years old. So while I was developing myself, I'm like, you know what? I have this curiosity mindset. When I was a kid, I always felt like, while we're hustling, while we're making this money, I used to buy a lot of things growing up. So I always found things that were tangible to turn them into profit. And growing up, I realized, oh, maybe this is what I was meant to do. So that's kind of a little bit of kind of where I was when I was a kid, and just tried different things. I never was satisfied to to what's out there. I was just one of those kids. And then while I finished high school, I actually got a scholarship to play in Ontario because I was a tall, 6'5" lanky kid.
Playing basketball, right?
Playing basketball, yeah. So, so I use a lot of my time to develop, I wanted to go to the league one day. It was kind of, how when you're a kid, you're like, you want to go play professional here, but I'm like, I want to go play professional. And so that was kind of my mindset there. But, you can have all the work ethic, but if you don't have discipline, you're not going to go nowhere. So that's kind of where I lacked early on. No working, I would show up to the games and I would drop 40, 50 points, but it's like, you got to put in the reps, and so that's kind of where my little bit of a story of kind of where it started. And then now we just kind of transition more into business.
So your life is now about business. It's about entrepreneurship. You talk about this concept SUS all the time. Yeah. Show up, share, and shine. And I want to ask you about what SUS means in relation to you being the man that you need to be for your community and your family and the people that you serve.
Yeah. Well, SUS is actually a framework from my mentor, Mubarak Nasagarija. He's the one that actually taught me that. It's just, SUS is like, knowing that you, of course, SUS stands for show up, share, and shine, right? So when you show up, say, for example, you tell me to come do this podcast, I show up, now I share, and then now I get to shine at the end, because showing up is just the first thing. Once you show up, the battle's already won. And so most people, they say, I want to do this, but they don't show up. So I think, especially in business, you have to show up consistently on a daily basis. You know what I mean? Even on social media platforms, everything you do, you got to SUS, because if you SUS enough, you're going to get the results in the end. So I think the showing up part is so key to success. And for me, it's just that framework really helped me while I'm developing. So I asked myself, am I sussing enough? Am I showing up? Sharing? And then, am I going to shine? Am I helping somebody else along that process? So it goes a long way. So I ask myself those questions all the time.
That's incredible. I talk every morning to myself, doing my affirmations about show up and lean in, showing up every single day and leaning in. And we subscribe to some of the same people who talk about discipline, about entrepreneurship, about moving forward, about doing the hard things when you don't necessarily want to do them, which is the muscle of discipline. Talking about this episode right now. We're recording at 7 on a Saturday morning. Well, most people aren't even awake at 7 on a Saturday. I said, come over 6:45, couple curveballs this morning. Things didn't work out perfectly the way we wanted to, but that's just what life is. Nothing ever does, right? So we are sitting in the Steve Setka Show studios in my basement right now. There's a workout facility behind us. There's a bike. There's incredible environment and atmosphere. This is what we do to start our days and set up. We're showing up. We're sussing. We're shining, and the results will come. Why? Because we're producing significant amounts of value for the world, potentially with no return or no reward yet, which is really the framework of this podcast, right? Showing up, being in community, finding people that you vibe with, giving value. And we never talk about money. And so we talk about value. We talk about showing people what we want for the world and how we want the world to be a better place, which is awesome. And with that context about sussing in your life, what sort of opinion do you carry that people push back on and that they don't necessarily understand?
I think for me is, man, I don't give a shit.
I'm such a champion right here, man. That's what this show's all about.
Man, I started to not give a shit what people say about me and what you have. People are always gonna say something about you, man. I realize, especially now, especially if you're doing things that are ambition. If you're gonna go and start a business, whatever it is, you're gonna have doubts. Family, people saying, "Oh, you can't do this. Why should you get into this?" So I've had so many doubts and so many people saying that I can't do it, and oftentimes too, your subconscious mind is powerful. Those things that do feed into your mind, they start to kind of temper a little bit. So for me, it's I don't really care, because thoughts are just things at the end of the day, Yeah. So that's one thing I realized, I don't care, and I just have to keep doing. So for you to even do this podcast, that's why I even told you in the beginning, Steve, you need to get on this podcast. You're already good at talking to people. you gotta leverage these skills, man, because it's a momentum too. The more you do them, the more reps you do, the better you're gonna get over time. So for me, it's don't care what people say, and just go for it, man. And you know what I mean? And, as Andy Friselia would say, F them, you know what I'm saying?
We're uncensored, we're champions here on the show. And those are the only types of people that are gonna come around. That's fantastic. Andy, what are you reading right now that's empowering you?
Man, I'm actually reading the Bible.
Tell us more. Great context for this show.
Yeah, the Bible. I'm reading a lot of Proverbs. Like I said, the past 6 years, entrepreneurship, I've read so many books, from Tony Robbins to Ray Dalio to just everything, the market. But I realized once I started reading the Bible, I'm the last 5 months ago, I'm wow, this is what I should have been reading a long time ago.
These are the principles.
These are the principles. There's just so many wisdom in there, and I'm just trying. I want to put my faith into God, man. I want to really just, lock in and just and follow those principles, and because this year it's about winning, man. So we gotta stay focused,
That's
brothers
awesome.
and sisters.
Good on you, my friend. Well, this right here is a cross on my neck. I wear it every day. Under my shirt, sometimes over my shirt, it says Philippians 4:13 on it. It says, through Christ Jesus, I can do all things, right? And I believe that. And I don't think necessarily I can do anything without him. The glory goes to God in terms of the success that I'm building, the family that I'm building, the man that I'm becoming, the community member, the husband, the future father, and just somebody who's there to serve the world. I heard a great quote the other day that says, your life will expand in terms of how much you give it away and how much service you provide to others, whether that be at church, whether that be in faith, whether that be in your community, sport, education, right? Showing up, teaching kids who need some inspiration or some motivation, or just that muscle of discipline, which is incredible. With Christ, we can do anything. Without him, I don't think we're capable at all. So what's some parting wisdom that you want to send off into the universe to create some great energy for today on Saturday for the rest of
Mhm. Yeah, like I said, my mentor has this great quote. He says, "You playing small, how many people are hurting?"
Yeah.
So don't play small, man. Don't play small. You think big, and when I say think big, like don't let people doubt you, thinking that you can't do something. You know what I mean? I think we're all here in this world to make something meaningful, to make something impactful. Not just being outside what society has made us to think, which is like they put us in this box of like go to school, get an education, become a doctor. Like these things are like just been so programmed. So people just think Medicare, right? We could do so much more. We've seen it all the time. The Zuckerbergs, the Ray Dalio, the big hedge, all these guys who created something, they started and then they was able to develop. So I probably just say don't play small. Think outside the box and work it till you win it. As my man Oris would say.
Awesome. That's incredible. Hanny, if someone wants to find a phone, or they are looking for some real estate information, or they want to learn social media, coaching or mentorship or whatever they're looking for, how do they find you?
Yeah. So you can find me on social media, all platforms, Hanny Mehari, Instagram, YouTube, TikTok, pretty much doing everything. And yeah, man, then of course for the business, it's if you want to sell us phones, we also buy phones as well too. That's hannymobile.com.
Incredible. It's fantastic. Thanks for coming on the show. We
Yeah.
appreciate you. Keep going. And let's have a great weekend and keep moving forward. God bless, my friend.
I want to ask you a quick question
Please
before
do.
we wrap up, Steve. So, Steve, tell me, man, how has your experience been? You doing this podcast, and you finally wrapping up here.
Threw it to the tables, man.
Yeah, and what was that? Because when we sat there, this was before the New Year's kind of started. You know what I mean? 2025. I told you we had this gathering. It was a dinner. I'm like, yo, Steve, you're talking, man. People, because you the thing about Steve, he doesn't sit at one table. He moves around. He's always talking to people. I'm like, bro, you got to jump on the pod. He's like, and then I sent you that recording that night. I'm like, you got to do it. And then the next couple of days, you post it on LinkedIn. So tell me that ambition to be like, I'm going to go for it. You know what I mean?
I've been thinking about this episode, or not this episode, this podcast initiative for years. And I was dappling on what should I do? And I got stuck in that framework of, what do I talk about? How do I talk about it? Where am I going with it? And then I would never do anything. We got to dive into this more. I'm going to come on the Hanny show and talk more about this. But it's been fantastic. I'm embracing the suck. We got video quality here that ain't excellent. We've been using a bit of AI, but I'm learning the platform as we go. So jumping in, embracing the suck, committing to a deadline, which is what I did. January 11th, first episode I'm releasing it. I had no software, no microphones, no preparation, no nothing. Just jump into it and enjoy the process. And it's been good. I got a lot to say, for sure. I got a lot of quiet and stillness and listening that I got to do as well, too, on this show. But the journey has been incredible and fun. And I have a daily discipline every day to do 20 to 30 minutes of content creation, which is typically working on the podcast. I don't hit it every single day, but I'm batting about 70 to 80% in terms of getting that done every day, which is a chip away on that block towards getting to an incredible, beautiful, wonderful show, which is where we're going. So
I like it, man. Keep it up, bro.
Thanks, man. With that being said, thanks so much for joining the show.
Yeah.
I appreciate the question. We're gonna get at it this weekend. We're living a great life, and until next time, let's have it. See you guys. Thanks for tuning in to today's episode. I hope you found value in what we shared and that you'll take it with you to positively impact the world around you. If so, we'd love for you to take a moment to rate, review, and share the show, because we're on a mission to grow and reach more hearts. Prayers, gratitude, and love. Until next time.